Yeah, as said, I'm work at University of the Arts London, and we use Workflow, which is our kind of spin on Mahara, and we're great fans of Mahara. We're great fans of Mahara. We've used it now for the last almost 10 years. It's my colleague Mike Kelly who had the idea originally to take it to actually do something slightly different with it, and then to contribute what he did and what others did back to the Mahara community, and then Mahara, and then all sorts of other things have happened there. Fantastic things are happening. So we're benefiting from that, and our students are benefiting from that. So how do we use it? Well, we use this curious word, eStudio and ePortfolio. So we use it probably less as an ePortfolio, although we still do, and it's a lot more. It's a lot more than just an ePortfolio, although ePortfolio is good. So what do we do? We use it, basically it's used across the university, and we have several platforms that we use. We use Mahara, we use Moodle, we use something called myblog.arts as well, which is essentially a spin on WordPress. And the two blogs and Mahara are used really to build communities of practice. They are the students' areas. They are used in a whole variety of different ways across the university. And the reason I'm showing this slide here is it's quite a large university, against about 20,000 students, 6 colleges, a whole range of different things people are doing, different practices. And just to show where they are, we've got 3 fine art colleges: Camberwell, Chelsea and Wimbledon, and London College of Communication, where things such as photography, advertising, all sorts of great things happen there. Central St Martin's, great brand, all sorts of things happen there, and London College of Fashion. So yeah, we use it in a whole variety of ways. And what I'm going to do is show you, or rather take you through some of the thought processes behind how it's used. And then I'll go live into Workflow as well, because our Workflow is open to a certain extent. So, for example, students can go in, they can make pages open to the whole wide world. They can make collections open to the whole wide world. There's a lot of groups there, so there's a lot of collaborative work. We use it for assessment, so our students are submitting portfolios, collections, projects, sharing work with industry partners, getting feedback from industry partners, and all those things are happening in there. So this is the front page of Workflow, and I'll log into it very shortly. But I'll first of all give you a couple of examples of how people are using it and what sort of things they're saying about it. First of all, actually, why do we call it Workflow? Well, it is a portfolio. It is a studio. And when we say it's a studio, we're saying, for example, that it really is showing not just the finished product. It's not just for showing what has been completed, but it's really about enabling students right from the start to share their practice as they enter into the university, and become used to actually sharing their work with other people, sharing their thoughts with other people, getting feedback, actually critiquing other people from the start, critiquing other projects, it's very much a live area which reflects the other live areas in which the students work, in which the studios and all those other areas. A little bit of feedback from areas that are using it. I mean, some of the areas of the university that are using they are heavily using it. So, for example, Foundation across the university, but primarily at CSM, because that's primarily where CSM has the lion's share of Foundation, is they use it for well over half of what they do with students. So, for example, the students will be documenting what they're doing. They'll be writing openly. They'll be sharing their work discreetly, but also openly in certain cases. And they'll be garnering feedback from all over. And one of the things that they've discovered on Foundation as a result of doing that is that students who may have come originally not totally happy with how they're writing, and they're wanting to squirrel away what they're writing in their notebooks, etc., and not share that with other people, because they're now getting into the process of being open, being sharing, garnering that feedback, and being part of a community of practice. They are very quickly improving. So they've discovered, for example, that there's pretty strong evidence to support more international students, for example, getting higher grades now because of the ways in which they are now working, i.e. openly, and sharing and critiquing each other's work right from the start, and not it's something which they have become used to doing and happy doing. Also, we have other courses such as photography at London College of Communications, who have been using workflow for some time, for several years, and they are they have about 100 students, well over 100 students in the first year, photography, and all of them use workflow, and all of them use it very heavily. And again, they're actually getting used to sharing, seeing each other's work, making their work visible, taking it with them when they move, exporting it. It's far more than a space just to post work for people to evaluate. It's really their area, so they're actually making it such. And another example here is at LCF, London College of Fashion, where BA honours footwear, which is a cordwainers, an area of LCF, well known for footwear. They are using it and have been using it for some time with their collaborations with industry partners. And the way they're doing that is they're sharing work, thoughts, discreetly by using the long links with people who are then feeding back to their students. And these are long-term partnerships. These are people who are footwear designers who have an interest in their students very much gaining an insight into to what they're thinking right from the start, and that can happen in this discreet way. I think I've lost everyone.
We can still see and hear you.
Fantastic, thank you. Unfortunately, I'm having problems seeing my own screen. So
Okay.
thank you. What what I can do now then is actually show you some of the, to take you straight through to workflow so you can see what it is. If you want to go there direct, it's workflow.arts.ac.uk. It's workflow.arts.ac.uk. And you will actually be able to see the front page. And it's designed like that. It's designed that people can go along and they can start to click on it. They can see what people are doing, and they can just go in. So I'm just going to go and do that now.
Are you okay with how to share your screen? So along the bottom, there's an extra icon where you can share your screen.
Ah, thank you for that. So I would have been there for ages if you hadn't told me. Thank you. Okay, so what you should be seeing now on your screen is what we normally see when we go there, and it's designed to be a range of tablets, a range of spots you can click on to go a little bit further. So if I just click on one of these, this I suspect is going into a project. Exhibition review, and yeah, it's designed to be open, so if you want to go and have a look, you can. If it's not designed to be open, by the way, you'll find that it'll either be blocked and you get no further than the image, or there is no image showing at all, so you can't click on it and go in. But these are fascinating because they give a great insight into projects the students are working on, their thought processes. They'll get feedback from people who are involved in those projects, sometimes openly, sometimes discreetly, and they can publish it in a whole variety of other ways because they can take it with them, as we know. They can export, and we show them how to do that. So yeah, it's very, very popular. So the idea of putting together a collection, and actually we try not to give people a template. We do give people a template for particular types of work. So for example, if you have, well, if it's far more, it has to be a template, or it's very much as part of a project which has a certain look or feel or a certain rationale, then we will suggest a template and we will make templates available to students. But typically, because it's very much a creative area and as part of their practice, they're actually finding out for themselves what works for them. They're experimenting all the time. They're sharing content with people, collaborating. Then we try to make it as seamless as possible so that people can find their own look and feel and use workflow in ways that really work for them. But we do have guidance as well, and we do share best practice, and we encourage students to share best practice as well, which is why we have these areas here as well. One thing I would say is it is very popular. It's something that is not mandated. So for example, students have to use Moodle to a certain extent, but most of the other platforms, they're either chosen by the course team for a particular project, or by the students for those projects, or by a mixture of both. And we get a lot of feedback from users on a regular basis, suggesting ways in which things could be improved, and also we would test and implement those where that's possible. But the focus is on building these communities. But we make sure that people do realize that this is by default a discrete area. And unlike the blogs, which are by default very, very open, they can change that. If people want others to find their work, to comment on it, to feedback on it, to collaborate with them, then they have to make it available and invite them to it. Okay, I think I'll stop now and see if you have any questions.
Yeah, that was really, really wonderful, John. Thank you very, very much. And also for not being well, you've done a really good job. So thank you for coming and sharing what you've been doing.
Okay, thank you.
Ed Bolton from Sonnet has a question. He wants to know, do you gatekeep what gets placed on the public site?
Not as such. No, we don't gatekeep that. But having said that, there are checks in place. So, for example, it does happen occasionally. I mean, a lot of if people are putting together a portfolio which is essentially visual research, they might be bringing in imagery which isn't theirs, and they might be sharing it with other people, and they might be have that open to the whole wide world. And occasionally people contact them who own those images and complain and ask for them to be taken down or ask for it to be explained or whatever. And that's usually quite an affable, well, as far as I'm aware, it's always a very affable sort of discussion. But that exists, so they can do that. And also, if you are viewing what's here and you find something which is, for whatever reason, or you believe to be for whatever reason, shouldn't be here, there is a way to flag that. So you can actually report that, though you can report the images, and they can be investigated. But the very nature of this platform is that it is all sorts of things are discussed within this platform, and some of them are very discreet and some of them are open, and sometimes possibly that openness isn't always justifiable in certain cases, and then people would be advised not to have it quite as open.
So it's a really good sort of learning opportunity for them, what's acceptable and what the right etiquette is when using other people's work in a real life situation. Oh
yes, no, that is very, very true. Yeah.
Ed's got another question.
Okay.
He asks, have you had problems with feedback on controversial topics? I don't know, Ed, if you want to put your mic on.
I'm just thinking in the terms of if the student puts up something that's controversial and someone might give feedback or any sort of like I can't think of an example, but maybe it's something that spirals. You see if the internet's open and you get anyone commenting on it, you can end up in a downward spiral very quickly. I wonder if you've ever had any problems with that.
As far as I'm aware, we haven't. But what we have had a problem with, and we're constantly monitoring this and tweaking this in different ways, is when it is open, spam, and that can be people, spam from certain areas trying to monetize in dubious ways what people are putting out there. But again, that's something we're very hot on and constantly looking at other ways of countering.
Okay, any more questions from anyone? No, I can't see any more typing. So thank you very much. We'll let you relax and enjoy the rest of your day, John. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And if, as I say, this is open, so if you want to go and have a look at workflow.artstacy.uk, please do.